We lost $264 trading Robinhood. What's going on, guys? Welcome on into the recap video. And beautiful day, beautiful trade, beautiful miss. We will recap it and move on to the next. So this one is kind of an interesting situation. So it's kind of where like I go back and not go back and forth. I think this is a good kind of like mental battle, right? That you kind of have to, or that maybe you don't see, but maybe you realize. No, maybe no one shows it. Is what I should say. Maybe no one shows it, but it happens in everyone's head. And no one talks about it. So I'm going to kind of get into it. And like I always do, and we'll just recap the trade. So you look at the screen, there's like 4 trades. You go, whoa, what do you mean you lost? Like this is really just one trade here. This additional piece I'll talk about. So we lost like an additional $22 or whatever, $23 on that. It says it's open because I left a tiny piece of it still open because of something else. So I actually entered a trade on Robinhood a couple of days ago. So if I go back in time, let me get rid of this so you can see the chart clearer. So it was actually based off the weekly time frame. So actually, I think it was Wednesday. I entered this trade yesterday. So we have Robinhood, right? Consolidation, pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. Break the consolidation with the nice candle. Looks like we're going to be on pace for good volume this week. And we're looking strong. So the week could close out off differently, but right now it looks good, right? So looks great. Everything's good. You know, we're kind of in the push breakout mode. Looking for a bigger picture move. That's the trade that I have in the background, targeting like 55, something like that. I forget exactly what it is. But when I have to recap that trade, either it wins or loses, I'll recap it. That's its own thing. Earnings on Robinhood in about a month, a little bit less. So I have like a window up until that point to kind of get out of it, or have it hit target or not, right? So that's the deal. So with that said, I go, okay, great. So the thing is, this is on my radar because I see it. It's like, you know, I'm obviously I'm in it. And then I see this setup right here and I go, whoa, we got a little something cooking. Because I see like exactly my same setup just on a different time frame. So my plan for this year is to day trade a lot less than I did last year. I probably took somewhere in the couple hundred range of day trades and maybe about like 60 swing trades. I don't know, something like that. So if I take, let's say 60 swing trades this year, my plan is, or game plan is to have around that number or less in day trades, to have less day trades or around that number. So a lot less trades. You can kind of see the trajectory based off the data. That's what the data is telling me. So that's what I'm going to do until it tells me otherwise. So this said, I go, okay, like I generally speaking don't love the 5-minute time frame unless we've got a bigger time frame to say, let's rip. Like if we are breaking out on a bigger time frame, why not maximize and, you know, milk, juice, squeeze. I just go like this. I don't know, squeeze the juice. Why would I do that on camera? I honestly no idea. Just no idea. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like squeeze the juice out of what we can while we have momentum, right? Because inside of like a bigger picture breakout, we tend to see pretty good aggressive momentum, or that's what I see, aggressive momentum. So like think about it like this. You know, you get a breakout, and inside of that breakout, there's movements like this, right? This is a 1-hour time frame. But if you zoom the chart in a bit more, maybe there's going to be breakout setups on a 5-minute time frame, right? So that could offer you opportunities. And so that's kind of my approach is like, I'm not going to trade, I'm not going to day trade unless I know I'm in a bigger picture, you know, momentum environment for sure. And then I get my setup on the smaller time frames in the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll miss the bigger picture. Oh, I missed it. It is what it is. And I'll take the smaller picture in the bigger. And sometimes I'll take the bigger because I was watching it, I saw it, and then I'll also take the smaller picture. And sometimes I'll take the bigger picture and I won't take the smaller picture because I'm not on the charts. So it literally comes down sometimes, not sometimes, like it just comes down to like I happened to see the setup right as it was breaking, so I took it. If I wasn't sitting down at my desk at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time this morning, I would not have taken this trade because I wouldn't have seen it. Simple as that. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. But I get a perfect setup. So here is the chart, right? I mean, look at how this played out, by the way. So perfect setup from yesterday and even the overnight hours. We break that with a freaking like teasing tip on the 1 hour time frame right here. Okay, and that happened at around 9:40-ish a.m. So I waited about 10 minutes, and then we broke that, and then proceeded to come down and then stop me out just barely under the low of the day on this next candle. Stop me out only to go right back up. So technically speaking, the idea was certainly there, just the nature of how it played out, trappy environment, kind of a screwball environment, you know what I mean? Like, we're not like getting momentum. Like, we had momentum yesterday, and like bigger picture, it seems like we have momentum, but when you narrow it down, the smaller time frames, not really there. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's going to be crazy momentum on the small time frames, and it will be like not as good on the bigger. Sometimes it's like they both hit, it's just how it goes. I don't know. Sometimes that's just how it goes, So that was the situation. So then I get back in. I put a buy stop on this, by the way, when I initially got in. So looking back at the buy stop that I got triggered on, like literally this candle right here. So I see the first two candles of the day, and I go, okay, high of day is, 46.30, whatever it was. And I go, okay, so if we break high of day, I want to get in. And that was when we were like in this candle somewhere in here, like not at high of day yet. And then we break high of day, and then we get kind of drilled off to the downside, and then I get sold. Sells me out like just somewhere in here just before it broke this low. So, which happens to be low of day. So, yeah. So why sometimes you want to give it a buffer, like low of day is my stop, but maybe give it like a rough, buffer. In this case, even if I did, it was too tight of a buffer because I got stopped out. So that's really it. So in the grand scheme, not a bad situation. I didn't lose a lot of money on this. If you look at the sizing and you look at I have yet to have a winner this year, so I guess 2025 off to a slow start, although not too many trades, so we're kind of on a small sample size. But you kind of see the sizing. We lost on this trade 264. Let's total it all up. You know what I mean? Like, winners should be 400 plus at least. So, I think we're going to be fine. Just need to have some winners at some point. Maybe we won't. Maybe we just go down and that's it. And if that's the way the ride goes, my friends, that's the way the ride goes. I can tell you that right now, though, I'm definitely not going to. I will not spiral, and I say that. I guess I could. The chance of me spiraling and blowing up and doing dumb shit that does not relate to my strategy is fairly low. Revenge trading, over trading to a substantial degree to blow up. It's fairly low. It could happen, but I don't think that necessarily will happen. The way I'll lose is it'll be death by 1,000 cuts. And I will just have either a humongous red streak where I just literally don't win for like 17 trades in a row, or I will have like a larger, the strategies won't work for like 7 months straight. And or not straight, but like 7 months. And I'll have some wins, but then mostly losses for like 7 months. And then I'll eventually have to do something. I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe McDonald's. I don't know. Cross that bridge when we get there. But that's the situation. So this piece right here, I sold the majority of the position. I left the tiny piece on. Why? Because when I originally took this Robinhood swing, I looked at this trade and I was like, okay, I like the setup. And I was targeting on the 10K account. I was targeting for a win. I can go in and show you actually. Oh, I don't have it. I'll log in here on the side. I was targeting, I think, about $125 of profit. And I'll show you what I was risking so I can show you all the stuff. So if I pull it up. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it was this one. So I was targeting to make $127.40 while risking about 89. So I was like, that's a kind of a standard, it's a standard position size. But now I was like, wait a second. It's a weekly time frame. I'm not opposed to just upping that a tiny bit. So that's what I kind of did by default by having this extra. By taking this other trade and then leaving a tiny piece of it on is kind of the whole point. So now if I win on this one, it'll net me 140, I don't know, 150 on the 10K account, risking about 100, something like that, So that's kind of more in the ballpark for a weekly swing for the amount of time this could take to play out. It's kind of the thing. Robinhood, on the other hand, though, could easily go crazy. It's done 7, 8, 9, 10% days. We can easily see it have a crazy day or two and then hit the target. The reality is that, though, from the breakout point, my entry point, it's a 22% move, which is a lot, but the risk is about 15%. So it's kind of a wide, when I have a wide, stop, take profit kind of situation, I lean towards wanting to size a little bit more just because it's going to take a lot longer to play out, right? It's like, what's the point of sizing smaller than normal? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's like that subjective piece. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. So that's the Robinhood update. If we take a broader picture view of the entirety of the month so far, now, again, we only have a couple of trades realistically here. It says 11, but again, a lot of them are copied on the trade copier, so not that many. And some of them are open. 2 of them are actually open. One's up a good bit, and the other one is up a little bit, so we'll see how those shake out for now. Yeah, not a great start to the year, but with the sizing that we've been doing, or we've been increasing the sizing little by little, now kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be tough. You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge by that because it's such a small sample size. Give me 50 trades, come back and let's see where we're at. If after 50 trades I suck, like it looks like it sucks, ass, and I'm down, multiple $1,000s, then it's like, okay, we have maybe a problem here. But that's kind of the way I approach it. You go through periods of prolonged chop, or not prolonged chop, and then momentum, chop, momentum. And if you can kind of tell right now, like, while yes, we've been bouncing back up, like we are still technically speaking in this chop that is net downside trend. So that's kind of the big picture view that I have, right? So we're net in this like chop. We break this chop and the S&P goes to new highs. I mean, we're in play for momentum right here. Like I'm ready to go. I don't have a lot on the list that I'm like, oh, this looks really good, but I'll be ready to go soon if we start doing that. And then same thing on the downside. We start to break to the downside here. Like clearly we're downtrending. There's stuff somewhat skeptical because like you got charts like Caterpillar, for example, that like here's an example, like a perfect example of just absolute screwball. So you see how I'm saying, like, I didn't trade this to the short side, but this is my setup to the short side. And this is why I'm so skeptical of trading the short side right now still, even though like we've had a little bit more of a pullback. And even though like fear and greed is pretty fearful, right? Like, so you got potential, like, downside, like, yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, shorts where you want to be looking. I'm not really, because I'm still looking at the longs because I see a lot of situations like this, right? Trending to the downside. Give me that break of consolidation. Boom, one day red looks horrid, and then the next day snap it right back. I mean, this is a perfect candidate. I didn't trade this. I actually had a different trade on the same idea, but very perfect candidate for a false breakdown trade. So like, let's say you entered on the day on Monday, stop loss under lows, enter at the end of the day Monday, targeting a 2-to-1 risk reward. You're almost there. Like you're almost there already. That's just a false breakdown trade. So that's literally the inverse of my strategy. So I'm seeing more of those situations than breakdowns that are following through with downside, hitting a 2-to-1 risk rewards, type of stuff. So just kind of where my mind is at, my 2 cents on the whole situation. But we'll see. Hopefully we get some green at some point this month, but not really in a rush. Right where I'm supposed to be, and we'll keep it riding. And I'm quite confident in the system and the strategy after last year, the past 18 months, more than last year. Good data. I think I got some good data and got some good insight. So I'm excited to let the year, like, you have this like desire to like, oh, I want to do more. I want to trade because you feel like, oh, I've got this great data, and it's like, do this, not this, and you'll make more money. That's what it says. That's essentially what tracking is all about. Why I use TradeZella, subtle plug, link below this video. But like, you also have to take a step back and go, wait a second, dude. Like, yes, that is what the data told you, but did you look at the data and it had hundreds of trades? The data had hundreds of trades, and you're talking about like taking 1, 2, or 3 off of, the time frames that you thought would be good this year. Like, let's take 10. Like, out of 10, if I have a 5 out of 10 win rate, I'm going to be looking really good because of how I manage my risk, right? So like, that's the situation that I'm kind of in. But you can't rush that, because like when you rush that, then I fall into the trap of now I'm taking trades that are not actually there, And when you start doing that, now you're getting data, but it's not like the same. Like you're it's all probabilities. Like that's when you just boil it down, it's probabilities. Like if I know that I, generally speaking, am going to win half the time doing this, but I'm going to win 30% of the time doing this, well, I'm going to lean towards doing the thing that wins me half the time. And then if I do that and I manage my risk in a way where I make a lot more on the winners and losers, then we're going to be looking good. And that's really where we're at. So it's like, it's tough to comprehend at times because you want it to work and you're like, oh, why is it not working? But again, it's just like it's one trade. Like it's small sample size. Get a bigger sample size, and then we're talking, different. So that's the long-winded recap, but I, sometimes I like to talk about this stuff because I think it's cool and I think it's also helpful in terms of mindset and at least how I'm thinking. Maybe I'm probably an absolute idiot, and you should not take any of this stuff away and use it on your own in any other way. Do the opposite. Think the opposite of me, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's better. Either way, someone's going to benefit, I think. You're either going to utilize the same mindset or thought process and it's going to work for you, or you're going to be able to tweak it and say, oh, this actually helps. Or you're going to say, no, this guy's a dumbass, tweak it in a different way or do the opposite and it's going to work. And you're going to say, sucks. That guy sucks. I'm so much fucking better than him. And someone's going to benefit. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.